the huge fees that we get here are brilliant, and the aftercare service, we always get taken out for a curry. Pete always buys everything. He buys the wine, the food. It's magnificent, really. The money's always in your bank account, before you know it, and you're not so badly overdrawn. But it's just a lovely, intimate club, and it is very well run. You always know you're going to be on with good people and aspiring people. That's another thing. You don't just put on established acts. Make sure they get a lot of up and coming acts, which we all were in those days. So we didn't know what we were doing half the time. We'd turn up and it was pretty free rolling. So Peter and Hugh were always keen to foster as much new talent as they possibly could. So that was good for that.
How was the audience and the material changed over the last 30 years, do you think? How has the industry changed?
Well, the circuit when I started was very much the alternative comedy or cabaret scene, and so it was very alternative, really. It was a growth away from the mainstream comedy, so non-sexist, non-racist, and the audiences were made up of people that were like that, and as were the majority of the acts, really, and they wanted to make sure that what you were doing was original for a start off. You had to write your own material. There was none of this coming along and saying, what joke are you doing tonight? It had to be original material, and it had to be, of a certain level of discernment. So you didn't get the regular, my wife, my women, and I won't go into too many details, but that's what we're trying to get away from.
It's the Bernard Manning world that was around before.
Yeah, that's right, yeah.
And how has the audience changed in that time, do you think?
I think it's gone through different stages, really, because it was a very left of centre audience to begin with, and then it got I can remember going down to the Comedy Store in the early days, the first establishment they had, which was a strip joint, and it would mostly be men in suits from after work, and pissed up usually. And now it's changed. It's a little bit more, and it went through a stage where there was a lot of heckling going on. I think people got down there and got drunk, and there was a lot of heckling going on. Then it went into hen nights and stag do's, which there are still a lot of around, which is a shame because I don't think the two really work together usually. Sometimes they do, but not usually. I think it's got a bit more relaxed a bit more now. I think people are there to see comedy, and they appreciate that they're seeing live comedy. I think that makes a difference.
My impression of Downstairs at the King's Head is that the way the acts are curated, if you like, is slightly different from some other clubs in the UK.
Well, lots of other clubs will only put on acts who they think will draw a crowd. So usually they've got to be acts that have appeared on television, in panel shows and what have you. They're often only pulled from two particular sources, whereas Peter will put on an eclectic range of people and give people a chance to prove themselves, not just once. Like me, he's let me come back a few times now, and I'm going to get it right one of these days, Pete, I assure you.
Have you got any really any memories of this place where it didn't quite go right?
I can remember one night. It's usually such a friendly club, but occasionally there's been occasions where it's not been as friendly. And I can remember one guy being really obstreperous and was mouthing off, and we think he was pretty high in one way or another. And it was Hugh that was mostly trying to get rid of him, because Hugh is a warrior, unlike Peter and me. Hugh grabbed this bloke and ushered him towards the door, and this bloke was biting him. Hugh's pushing him out, and he's being bitten. I think Pete didn't Hugh have to go to the hospital and be checked out for rabies? Yeah. So that wasn't nice, but that's very, very rare down here. I mean, I've seen very, very little violence throughout my career. Thank goodness.
A ringing endorsement. Very little violence.
Well, I've seen a bit, but not much.
So, 30 years, what message would you like to send to Downstairs at the King's Head on its anniversary?
Where's my money? Many congratulations. It's been a wonderful establishment, and may you go from strength to strength.